Welcome to the Buylist. This is episode 10.
This is not financial advice. This is cardboard. Let's dive into it. Ted, how's your week been?
It's been pretty good. Got back to streaming, had to take a week off. It was the first time I ever took a stream off from my box breaks on Tuesdays. That was a bummer a couple weeks back, but real life got in the way. But I was back this week, a lot of fun. Definitely missed it. That was cool. And we're a week away from Baltimore PT, eh?
Yeah, not stressed at all. Just locked in, loaded, got my deck already sleeved, ready to submit.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that's how it goes. Yeah, I'm playing in the calling myself, so yeah, definitely a lot less stressful on my side of things. I'm looking at like one loss, maybe one draw, and I'm going and doing side events. So like when's dinner?
Yeah. When's dinner? Where's the beer?
Right, yeah, exactly. But it'll be good to see everybody, some friends, see you, and hang out with some friends that I don't get to hang out with regularly. But yeah, so I mean, we're gonna dive into some EV this week and just take a look at FAB 2.0 and see where that's at, because we definitely want to take a look at outsiders, these next couple weeks, see how that's fluctuating, and why not compare it back to the other sets that are under the FAB 2.0 moniker. So let's jump into that right now, Nate. And first up here, the first FAB 2.0 set, Uprising. So what jumps out to you here, Nate?
I mean, just the fact that we're seeing green. It I think it's a set that has kind of now that we're two sets away from this, is definitely slid back in the purview, and no one's opening Uprising anymore. No one is drafting this set. There's so many people who hate drafting this set, so like there's not a whole lot of Uprising being opened. And we've seen 3 straight weeks of just singles moving up from Uprising because it's just that kind of slow drain now on the market that is really pushing up the prices. And you see that the legendaries are carrying a lot of the weight here because there's, again, no product being opened.
Yeah, I mean, there is a bunch of red on this here, but again, this is just percent change week over week. I would stress, on this here, $93 a box, almost 94, three and a half, just over 3.5% up from last week. As you had mentioned, Nate, legendary cold foil gains are carrying that green percent, week over week there. Some of these red items here, just to point them out, I think they're moving around slightly, but they are looking bigger than they actually are, right? We're talking, 10% movement here or there. But yeah, like you said, rainbow foil legendaries 25%, cold foil 19% of the EV value here. The one thing that's nice about Uprising is that the Marvel rares slot is keeping, or like, a big chunk of this as well, right? So that helps it if you're looking to open this box. I think I actually just looked this morning, boxes on TCG Player are about $70. So not bad, right? If you wanted to open some of this, I don't think it's the worst idea. Yeah, I mean, you hit a Crown of Providence, you are like happy days, but there's some duds in there. Luvian
Oh, yeah.
Costello's looking at you. Rainbow foil, definitely. The cold foil, actually, I saw it's like $70 or something, or like 70 to
Yeah.
$100, which is pretty awesome to see. Because man, those some of those cold foil legendaries were struggling for a minute.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to like we've talked about it for a couple weeks now that like the cold foil legendaries really haven't been kind of like respected in the 2.0 era per se,
Hmm.
and that like people aren't realizing like how rare they truly are.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of that is coming basically. You see a lot of that movement coming from Crown of Providence as we head into Baltimore. a lot of the players who are getting into the game and being competitive are picking up their staples here.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I was looking this morning, or maybe it was even just yesterday, just poking around. And Coldfoil Crown of Providence on TCG Player, I think, had less than 5 listings
Yeah,
total, which is like real scarce. And I think, these cold foils, they're not as rare as what they are in Outsiders, right? There was that shift that Outsiders did to
yeah.
make them a little bit more rare, but I still think they're pretty rare, right?
Yep, absolutely. And I think
Hmm.
like as this expected box value continues to creep up, I think that like it's getting close to the range where you're gonna see like single sellers like see like, okay, like this is actually worth cracking again and doing it at a pretty large volume. If the product like it just kind of depends on when LSS cuts that supply off though, right? So
Yeah.
that'll be kind of interesting to see over the next couple months is when does LSS turn off that faucet because that's that will start moving. I think especially the Marvel dragons.
Yeah. I don't, I mean, speculation corner here, but I don't think Outsiders is long for this world. Like, I don't know how much longer they can keep this in print.
I mean
Um,
Uprising.
yeah, sorry, Uprising. Yeah, we're talking about Uprising. I don't know if Uprising can just, you know what I mean? Like, it's been almost, we're going on a year right now, pretty close to a year, right?
Yeah,
May, June, somewhere in there.
yeah,
So like for Fab 2.0, again, this is like the first time we're seeing this. And I think, this will give us an indicator of how long LSS plans to keep these Fab 2.0 sets in print. Like I
yeah.
said, I don't see it making it to the end of the year. We might not know that it's out of print for another um, 8 months or so after, at maybe even into 2024, right? The next collector's week, whenever that is. But I think we'll start to see it dry up a bit. Yeah. All right. So with that, do you have any more to say on Uprising? I think that pretty much covers it. For me, I would say this is like getting borderline open, right? If you're looking for some dragons, it's a fun set to open. I opened a lot of
Yeah.
it.
Absolute blast to
Hitting
open.
dragons is a lot of fun. Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking for something fun to do, if you're looking for a set just for fun to open, I guess is what I'm saying. This is definitely one of the top ones in my opinion. Okay, Nate. So let's jump over to the next set here, Dynasty. Second
Yep.
set in 2.0. Not the box change or the change week over week here, down like 5.5%, right? I think a lot of the attention, I would say, is on the sets that were just announced out of print, right? Those
Yeah.
WTR, the sets we looked at last week. So not surprising that we're seeing some dips in these newer sets, right? They're kind of in their lull stage before they start bouncing back. One thing to note here, for myself, is surgical extraction, right? We do have that pulled out as their own line items because it's kind of like this weird, it doesn't really fit in with like, you shouldn't, I thought I wouldn't fit in with just non-foil majestics, right? So, or rainbow
Yeah.
foil, so we did pull them out here. 11% down this week. We've consistently seen that majestic drop. Little mini deep dive. I would say just keep holding off if you don't have those. I don't have a surgical extraction to my name, and I will not be buying one until Dust Till Dawn comes out and it kind of stabilizes, right? I think,
Yeah.
some of that announcement's already being baked in as we see it drop, and I think we'll continue to see it kind of chip away, right? It isn't going to go to like $10, but it will definitely come down from here, I think.
I think the one thing to keep in mind with it is that because it's going to be short printed in Dust Till Dawn as well, it's not there's not gonna be all of a sudden a flooding of the market where it goes to, like, 0. This is
Yep.
gonna be a very slow drip into the market, and I think that while you might see some price erosion, I think that this card will probably still hold strong in like the
Yeah.
high 20s, low 30s,
Hmm.
even with increased supply, just because like it's another supplemental set, so it's not getting opened for draft. So once it's opened, it's kind of like once we're 2, 3 months past, it's kind of done being
Yep.
opened. So it's not like there's going to be like a continuous inflow there.
Hmm.
Um, for Dynasty overall, I really loved opening this set. I understand people's frustration with this because there's a lot of things that are left to be desired, right? Like there's a lot of archetypes that just seem unfinished. Hello Kitty Katsu or Meow
Yeah.
Meow Remix, as I like to call it. But um, these are things that they're going to continue to support in the future. You look at Everfest, and I I think of Dynasty as Everfest that isn't as heavily printed.
Yeah.
And when you see like these Majestics really start to pop off, I think that you're going to start to see some pretty rapid price movement. Like Leave No Witness jumped to 15 when
Hmm.
Yuzuri was proven to be actually playable
Yep.
by my boy Sam Dando. Shout out. Um, and you look at Pulse Wave Harpoon, no longer playable because Dash is an unplayable hero.
Yep.
Dropped to $5. Deadeye jumped to $12 when Azalea was playable. So this is definitely a set that, as long as the Majestics are playable, I think will hold a pretty decent value going forward, just because of that and the uber chase of CNC and the Emperor.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some, to talk about things close to my heart, right? There's some cards in here like Cryptic Crossing. I can see that card being playable in the future. Looming Doom, I was actually looking at that card this week, just kind of peeking in on it. Well, the EA version, right? For the buy list, for my buy list, right? It's like $20 right now, and I was like trying to decide. It's like, does this card ever see play? But I mean, at $20, right? That's going to go back up. Like you said, there's things that are in this set that will pop, go up and down, ebbs and flows here. The one thing that's interesting about this set is that, I think on TCG Player, we're still looking around $80 a box. Um, so it's holding some value box wise, right? So we compare that back to Uprising at $70 a box. And I really want to say, in my opinion, I think the Fabled is kind of holding those box values up a bit, right? I think the fact that the Fabled is, sitting at $750, right? It's a playable Fable that people want through, crazy people want to play with 3 of these in their deck and shuffle them up. Godspeed, man. You guys have bigger stones than me. But I think that like this set will kind of like rest on those laurels until we start to see those Majestics pop off, like you had mentioned.
Yeah, and I think that looking at like the EV for both Uprising and now Dynasty, and as we move into Outsiders, 2.0 has shown that LSS has really created faith in the box value and the opening experience, where it is fun to open. The
Hmm.
cards in the boxes will maintain value, and they're not going to just heave a bunch of product into the market, and they've really got a good grip on what the market needs. We're not seeing massive spikes in these boxes, and we're not seeing big declines. We're seeing a lot of activity in some of the older things that are out of print now, but that's because they're out of print.
Yeah.
It's really reassuring moving forward that there's a lot of stability in these 2.0 products.
Yeah, to your point, Nate, the trickling out of these boxes now, right? The waves, right? I've since I do buy product for my box break streams, right? I've run into it a couple times in Fab 2.0 and various, I think on Uprising, even Dynasty, right? That they just kind of are hard to find for like a week or two or a month,
Mhm.
and then they kind of come back, right? Some of the places I go and get boxes are like out of stock, or like, hey, I don't got any right now, and then they all of a sudden, they come back, right? And I think that's really good to stabilize the markets, right? Because I think before Fab 2.0, it was just like we have pallets of this. Please take it from us. Like, we'll give you 4 extra boxes for free if you just take a case of this, right? It was craziness out there. And I
Yeah.
think that just dripping it out has actually helped. And then also they, like you had mentioned, they fixed the sets in a way now, right? The Fable's holding this one up, right? It's probably not super ideal, but like it helps, you know.
Yeah.
And then as I guess this is a good transition because we can jump into Outsiders now. And I think Outsiders is kind of, in my opinion, they're coming very close to hitting the mark now, right? I think as we look through these and we talk through these, Nate, in this pod, it shows that there's been a transition period even with inside 2.0, and they're tweaking these like rarities and how these sets are built. Yeah, and I think they hit it with Outsiders here, or they're very close, I think, or
My
closer. Yeah.
my one concern with Outsiders going forward, and you can see this is the lowest box EV of all of them. We're 1 month out from release now.
Yep.
These legendaries blow chunks. They're not good. Like Redback,
Yeah.
I talked about this last week. Redback Shroud basically is toilet paper. And Trench is I won't say it, Ted. I won't say it. I know it'll hurt you too much, but y'all know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we said
but
it last episode. I mean, we don't have to pull punches here. I don't think Trun. I think we talked about it. Maybe not last episode. This episode before. Trench should not be $35 in my opinion. Ugh, the rainbow foil. That
$2.99.
$2.99. Okay, I was gonna say 20, but like, I mean, yeah, some of these. I think there's, and I give LSS credit because I think they kind of went ham, right? First cycle legendaries are kind of OP, right? We've talked about Grasp before. Grasp is just going to be always good. Scab Skins is going to be crazy, like always good. Tech plating,
Scabbies.
yeah, even tech plating, right? 2 block, battle worn, all those cards are just super good, right? And if you look, if you're paying attention, they've definitely decided in the design space to tune down legendaries a bit, right? We
Yeah.
started to see, you know, Crown of Dominion has no block. Crown of Providence is kind of like a, hey, let's make an option to I don't know. I'm assuming things here, but like it was almost, yeah, I think they just try to fix a couple things, like mainly CNC being so dominant and Arcanite Skullcap being so dominant at the same time, and then they maybe overshot. I don't know. I don't know. It's a crazy helmet. It'll be in every deck. It was like, yeah, it's weird. It's like, you know, the little birds in the nest, right? One's Skullcap, one's Crown of Providence, and like once Crown of Providence hatched, it was like you get kicked out of the tree, other bird.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it was like yoink, you're gone. So like, yeah,
Skullcap
it
hit
just,
every freaking branch on the way
yeah,
down and broke
dude.
its neck when it hit the ground.
Yeah, it got owned. But yeah, so I think they're really trying to be careful with these legendaries, right? And try to not put so much power in them, right? Trench is kind of like a bad Crown of Seeds or something, you know, it's like
Just
real bad
bad.
though. It's just,
It's just bad.
I don't know why you would actively want to CNC yourself, but
You
so
get a
there,
resource.
yeah, you get one
You
resource.
get one whole dollar. It's almost like if you just ran Tunic, it would block one and then give you a dollar for free every 3 turns.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah.
Um,
Anyways, I mean, getting back to this set, I agree with you. There's some tough takes in here. To swing it back to a little bit more positive side, the non-foil majestics here again, you know, I highlight the top 3 percentage slots of estimated value. Non-foil majestics being the top dog is something that we don't see, right? We've looked at these sets now a couple times on this pod, right? And you just see legendaries being like half the pie or more, right? Like, geez, man, if we ever look at tails again, hold on to your hat, folks, because it's like 45% still or something, right? So
yeah.
seeing the majestic slot be this high is really good, and that's kind of what I was alluding to, is that I think they're starting to tune the rarity in a little bit, and then I think they keep doing this. They can probably find a decent balance in FAB 2.0.
Yeah. If they continue, so I really like how they did the Majestics really in this set. They made the Majestics, which are definitely the more common play pieces, slightly more scarce,
Hmm.
which makes the average value of them move up. The one thing I don't like is that it's a lot of that is anchored in two cards. It's Premeditate and Codex of Frailty,
Yeah,
because those cards are bizonkers.
yeah,
um, which is good. It's how you want those things to be designed, but I think that it is a little worrying that if they are to ban Codex of Frailty
yeah.
or ban
Well,
Premeditate, which I don't think they will,
yeah.
to be
I don't
completely
think.
clear, I
Yeah,
don't think they will. I'm sorry to everyone who's upset. Ranger can have one good card, okay?
yeah.
Hear me out here. They haven't had a good card because
Ever.
because well, actually Rain Razor's also
Rain
busted.
Razor is pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
Azalea's cards are pretty strong, right? I think I was watching Flake's podcast with some of the players, with his player podcast, the last episode, right? And they brought up some good points. Red of the Ledger at by itself in a vacuum is like a sick card, right? Like, but
Best
then you
card in the
had to
game.
but you had to play it in Azalea, so it was just like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, yeah, I mean, there's Majestics that are super powerful.
Mhm.
I think you just, it's probably more right than wrong what they did with Codex of Frailty, to be honest. Does that make sense, right? I think it's like they needed an enabler, right? Just to push these cards in the right direction, right? So I tend to agree with it. I don't think they're going to ban it, but yeah, it is a little scary that like Premeditate and Codex of Frailty are kind of, holding up the set in the Majestic slot for sure.
Yeah. Now, if they continue this into Dusk Till Dawn as well, I am very excited to open that, because the supplemental sets are already carrying a lot of weight in their Majestics because they have so many Majestics spread across so many classes.
Hmm.
And now if we're reducing the printing of those cards as well, we're going to see very good stable value in boxes because the non-foil Majestics will carry weight. We just have to make sure that when we're like printing legendaries, they're actually playable, because only 3 of the 5 legendaries are actually playable cards.
Yeah.
In
We need to be
the
clear
2 that
about this. Like, they don't need to be Crown of Seeds. They don't need to be
no,
Tunic, right, guys? But
no.
like, man, Alice says, throw us a bone here and make them like halfway in the middle. Like, meet us halfway, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no. Flick
um,
knives.
yeah,
Extended art flick knives. Do you know how much
yeah,
monies that would be?
yeah,
They made the 2 worst legendaries the EAs. Like,
yeah.
extended art Vambrace with some sort of, like, alt art treatment of some guy, like, punching through the card? Come on
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, very cool. Like, there's stuff to do there. There's definitely stuff to improve on. And like I had mentioned, I think we're
Yeah,
starting to see, when I was prepping for this episode, Nate, is that, you kind of see slight tweaks in each
yep,
one of these, right? Like Dynasty had cool blackout stuff, right? So that kind of leads into the frailty tokens. They're kind of exploring like what cool alternate alt arts can they do, right? And then even on the rarity side, especially in this one, right, where they tuned down
yeah,
Majestics and cold foil legendaries, made them valuable. Um, so I think, the future is bright, in my opinion. I think we'll continue to see them tune it, and they'll take their lessons learned from this set and move forward with it, hopefully.
agreed.
All right. But yeah, so anyways, a parting shot here, I guess on my, to kind of wrap up Outsiders would be, um, looking at the data, looking at this pie chart is definitely, if we're just going to like take all the numbers away, I think I said this the last time in the last episode, this pie chart's the most even out of any of the sets of Flesh and Blood.
Yeah,
Like, just if you look at it, you can just see that it's like, yeah, there's, Majestics are a huge chunk, but like there's the most even split. There's no little tiny slivers, and that's positive for me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they're doing a really good job honing it in.
Hmm.
Um, just I think as they continue to learn and tweak, and that's the beautiful thing about LSS is like they're seeing the player feedback and really like honing in on what the players want to
Yeah.
see and designing the products towards that.
I mean, because the alternative, Nate, is them just being like, we nailed it with Uprising. We're not changing anything. You get you get cold foil marvels of
Yeah,
like this thing. We're not gonna like reevaluate what makes a card rare and cool, and you just get the same thing over and over again, right?
yeah,
Like that could like, you know, like
yeah.
they still sold a lot of Uprising, right? They didn't have to make these changes. So, for them to be willing to make changes and understand their flaws is a great sign to me.
100.
Yeah, for sure. So that's gonna do it for this week. Like I said, we just walked through 2.0 again, especially just looking at outsiders. But yeah, so next week's PT there will not be an EV episode because we will be in Baltimore.
Yeah, we
Um,
will.
So we'll be taking a week off. We'll come back, probably take a look at
Yeah.
outsiders, pick some other sets to look at and chat about. Um, but yeah, so next episode will be Wednesday, and we'll be doing some deep dives on some majestics, maybe some legendaries again, and all that. So yeah, I guess like, subscribe. Thank you everyone for the support. Michael Fang, you're a boss. Got to shout you out.
Bang gang.
Fang Gang. Yes. Yes, I am part of the Fang Gang. And then also, James White, thanks for listening.
As
Appreciate
always.
it,
Yeah.
as always. But yeah, that's going to do it. Peace.
Peace out.